Welcome to Le Podcast de Philippe. Ready for another deep dive. Today we're looking at something pretty amazing, diamond batteries.
Yeah, those are fascinating.
Batteries that can potentially last for thousands of years. Now, I know that sounds a bit crazy, so we're going to break it all down, explain how it works, and explore just what this could mean for the future.
Sounds good.
So let's start with the basics. How does a diamond battery actually work? I mean, we're talking about turning something radioactive into electricity, right?
Right. It all starts with carbon-14. It's a radioactive isotope that decays over time. And during this decay, it releases these things called beta particles, which are essentially high-energy electrons.
Gotcha. So we have these high-energy electrons. Now, how do we actually use those to power something?
Well, that's where the diamond comes in. Diamonds, you see, they have this very special structure that makes them act like semiconductors.
Semiconductor.
Yeah. Basically, they can capture these energetic electrons from the carbon-14 and then channel them into a usable electrical current.
So it's kind of like a solar panel. Instead of sunlight, we're using this radioactive decay to get those electrons going.
That's a great way to think about it, but there's another really important thing about the diamond. It also acts as a shield.
A shield?
Yeah, it contains the radiation that's coming from the carbon-14.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's safe to actually use. That was one of my questions for sure.
It's definitely safe to handle and use in a variety of applications.
So you mentioned that carbon-14 decays over time. How does that affect the lifespan of these batteries? We keep saying thousands of years. I mean, is that really possible?
So carbon-14 has what's called a half-life of 5,700 years. That means after that time, half of the carbon-14 will have decayed.
So the battery is half as powerful after 5,700 years.
Exactly. It'll keep producing power just at a gradually decreasing rate.
Wow. Still an incredibly long time. But realistically, what kind of power output are we talking about here? Could these diamond batteries, power our homes someday?
Well, that's where things get a little more complicated. Currently, diamond batteries produce a relatively low amount of power.
How low are we talking?
Usually in the microwatt range.
Okay, so maybe not powering our houses just yet. But if it's low power, then what are these batteries actually good for?
Well, their real strength is in areas where you need a really long-lasting and consistent but low power output.
I see. So what kind of things are we talking about?
We'll take medical devices, for example, like pacemakers.
Ah, yeah. So instead of having to get surgery every few years to replace the battery, a diamond battery could last a lifetime.
Exactly. The potential for healthcare is huge, but it goes even further than that. Imagine deep space probes powered by these batteries, capable of sending data back to Earth for centuries.
That's mind-blowing. Okay, so we've talked about potential uses, but what about the environmental impact? I mean, using something that's usually considered nuclear waste seems like a good thing, right?
Absolutely. It's a really promising solution for dealing with this carbon-14 waste.
Turning it into a valuable resource.
Yeah.
I like that. It fits right in with the whole idea of clean and sustainable energy solutions.
Definitely.
You know, this reminds me of another technology we hear a lot about when it comes to sustainable energy. Solar panels. How do diamond batteries compare to something like solar power?
Well, both technologies actually use the same basic principle of exciting electrons to generate electricity.
Okay.
But solar panels, they rely on sunlight to excite the electrons in silicon, while diamond batteries use the energy from radioactive decay.
So one needs an outside energy source, the sun, and the other one kind of has its own built-in power.
Exactly. Which means diamond batteries can provide a continuous power supply, no matter the weather or time of day.
Right. Makes sense.
While solar panels, they're obviously dependent on sunlight.
So I guess solar panels still have the edge when it comes to just raw power output, right?
That's true. But the continuous power from diamond batteries, even though it's low, makes them ideal for situations where you really need something that's going to last a long time and be super reliable.
So it's not about replacing things like solar panels. It's more about finding new ways to generate and use energy for specific needs.
Exactly. It's all about expanding our options.
Okay, so we've covered the science, the potential uses, the environmental impact, and how it stacks up against solar. That's a lot. But where do things go from here? What's next for diamond batteries?
Well, there's still so much research to be done, scaling up production, figuring out how to improve power output, and of course, bringing down the costs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Those are always the big challenges with any new tech.
Exactly. But the potential here is huge, and that's why there's so much investment going into this right now.
It really does feel like we're on the edge of something incredible. I mean, just imagine the possibilities. What if we could have self-powered sensors,
Oh, yeah.
embedded in infrastructure, constantly monitoring everything, or devices that could operate in extreme environments like for decades
Right. Like, think about deep-sea exploration or even space travel.
without ever needing a recharge.
Exactly. And it goes beyond that even, like environmental monitoring, disaster preparedness.
Wow.
There's a huge potential impact on so many fields.
It sounds like these diamond batteries could really revolutionize a lot of industries.
It's all about pushing the boundaries of what's possible. It's really inspiring to see what we can achieve when we put our minds to solving these big challenges.
Definitely. And who knows what other amazing applications we'll discover down the road.
That's the exciting part. There's so much yet to explore.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's safe to say that the future of diamond batteries is looking very bright.
I'd say so.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the world of diamond batteries. I hope you found this exploration as fascinating as we did.
It's been a pleasure.
And don't forget to subscribe to Le Podcast de Philippe on YouTube. Help us reach 1,000 subscribers today. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those minds wide open.